YouTube Ozeko, the Goat House is back. After day one of the NFL draft, and I'm here to give you my grades on each of the first round picks. I'm grading off value of the pick. I'm not trying to predict the rookie's performance in any way. Some people usually think that for some reason, but just grading the value of each pick. Of course, trades kind of come into play and factor in there as well. We'll break all that down in just a second. Had a video right after the draft with the bigger winners and losers and the recap. Also do a day two mock that's still to come, and we'll have day two winners after day two concludes there. So please subscribe to both of our channels. You're going to want to follow that Twitter. We were live streaming during day one, but we're live tweeting the rest of the way. Each pick, I'll give you all my thoughts. So you're going to want to follow that Twitter. There's a link down below, description and comments. First pick was Joe Burrow. I'm giving it an A. My best player in the draft, it should be the pick there. I'm not giving out A pluses here, so it should be the pick for the Bengals. That's the correct pick. They get a lot better with adding Joe Burrow. So that to me, it's a clear A in terms of the pick there. Moving on to the second pick, we had another A for the Redskins. Kind of expected. They're in a prime position to take one of the remaining elite players. I had Joe Burrow, Chase Young, and Isaiah Simmons. So Chase Young and Isaiah Simmons on the board. Really couldn't miss with either one. So they take Chase Young. They add a pass rusher with Ryan Kerrigan, Montez Sweat. They're going to make it work with all three, but the future looks pretty bright with Young and Montez Sweat there. So that defense, Ron Rivera defense, looking good. The Redskins get an A for their day one pick of Chase Young. For the Lions, give the Lions a C plus, and people have probably been expecting something like this from me the way I've been talking. For several reasons. And, the reason it's not a worse grade than that, C plus isn't terrible at all, really. But the reason maybe it has that plus next to it is because Okudah is a very good, a very solid corner, the best corner in the class. So they get a pretty good young corner here. So the C plus really isn't for Okudah, like I said, the value of the pick here. There's a lot of factors in to me not to really love this pick. I don't know if I take a corner at 3. First off, I don't think they impact the game as much as anybody that gets after the quarterback. Any type of pass rush, interior, out edge rush, and then Isaiah Simmons, a guy that can do everything. So kind of bringing up Isaiah Simmons. I had 3 elite players in this draft. And that if they're elite, they should go 1, 2, 3. Obviously, the Lions may have had a higher grade on Okudah, picking him at 3, but just looking at my board, the value of the pick here. And I hope they, I would kind of wish they traded back if they were taking Okudah. And everyone's saying, I kind of mentioned that in the video yesterday, everyone's saying, well, they didn't have any offers. Well, that's not really my point. My point is I like it better if they would have traded back. I know maybe they couldn't, but that kind of brings up that, nobody, they wanted to, but nobody had any offers. They wanted to move back to get their guy. That kind of sums up their own thoughts on the value of the pick there. They get rid of Darius Slay. And they replace him with Okudah. Okudah still has to prove himself, obviously. So, again, I keep bringing this up. The Bengals had Joe Burrow a lot better. The Redskins had Chase Young. The pass rush, the effect on the quarterback in the game, that's a lot better. Lions, feels like they're at square one still. I think Simmons or Derek Brown could have been more of an impact. I do like Okudah. I think he'll be very good. But not thrilled with the pick there. For Andrew Thomas, they're kind of in the same boat, wish they would have traded back and got Andrew Thomas. Yeah, they had no offers, so they couldn't really help it. But them wanting to trade back to get the guy they want kind of sums up the value of their own pick at 4. At the end of the day, it gets bumped up a little bit here, stays in the B range because, the Giants are one of those teams that could afford to maybe reach a little bit for an offensive lineman. I mean, maybe the most important position in football after quarterback is either pass rush or offensive tackle, and they desperately needed it. They need to get Saquon Barkley going. Andrew Thomas, real good run blocker, and that will kind of by default up the passing game of Daniel Jones. So, yeah, I mean, 4, looking at my board and at Andrew Thomas and number 4 pick, maybe a little early. And, kind of bring it up. They kind of wanted to trade back and do this. So I give it a B minus here for the Giants. We're moving on to pick 5. Tua Tagovailoa, my number 2 quarterback in the draft from Alabama here, and they get an A. The Dolphins get an A for this pick. You thought they could trade up to 3 and get Tua, and I still would have liked it because you got to get your quarterback. You do your homework on these quarterbacks. You got to get the best one. So they don't trade up to 3. They save some picks, so that kind of feels, makes it feel a little better too. They save the picks, stay at 5, still get their guy. So kind of smart of them not to trade up, kind of identifying that the Lions would probably just stay put, and they're insistent on a guy, so they wouldn't really need to trade up. So it's a good job identifying that. Kind of expected this to be the pick. Nothing I'm jumping out of my seat about. I do like Tua. I do like Tua on the Dolphins. I do like him as a quarterback, a top prospect, and I do like that they save the picks. So that is an A for the Dolphins at pick 5. Pick 6, Justin Herbert. As you can tell from the past several weeks, I'm not a big Justin Herbert guy, and as you can tell by the grade as well. Not a big Justin Herbert guy. I had a feeling he would go this high. Doesn't mean I have to grade it that high. Not a big fan. Not a big fan because he's got a ways to go, in my opinion, and it's further than even a guy like Jordan Love. Jordan Love has the accuracy issues. Justin Herbert it's kind of the hesitation, the confidence almost seems like it's there, not there. Kind of in his head. He's accurate on underneath throws. He's got the velocity on the ball, not so accurate downfield, where that's where the velocity comes into play. You got to match them up. A lot of hesitation. He'll kind of is too early to go to his check down, doesn't let plays develop, and we saw no improvement since freshman year. We actually might have saw him go backwards, which is crazy. I wanted to see him kind of take control of this offense. I feel like they had to simplify the offense for him, and that's exactly what the Chargers are going to do. When the numbers may look pretty good, nothing going to wow if he plays. They're going to throw a lot of underneath. They wanted to hold Phillip Rivers from throwing, taking those crazy shots, risky shots downfield, which resulted in turnovers. They want to limit that. They're going to limit that here, and then hopefully in the future get that out of him. Match that velocity with the downfield confidence and accuracy. But this is early. The reason I added the plus, it was originally a D. The reason I added a plus to the Chargers, I don't expect to be picking down here anymore. They're not really going to have a chance to get a quarterback, that really fits them perfectly that they feel. So that kind of added the plus. But I'm not a big Herbert fan. I was after his freshman year, and just from what I've seen, just not a huge fan. So is this going to help them day one either? You can't really flunk a team for if they don't get help day one. But on top of that, Chargers defense real good. They got a couple good receivers. They got Austin Eckler back there. They're ready to win now. But with this deal, with this pick, you don't feel too great about that. So we'll see what happens there. I'm not a huge Herbert fan. Pick 7, Derek Brown gave an A. Kind of expected. I like Derek Brown. I like him with the Panthers. Yeah, Joe Brady got used to seeing him, playing against him last year. And he was a dominant force every single week. So good D tackle for them. Kind of expected the pick, so you don't get tremendous value here. So that'd be the reason no A+. Not just handing those things out. Try not to, but there's some really good picks. But, this is a really good pick. It's just kind of expected here. So Panthers get better with Derek Brown. They get an A from me. Pick 8, we see an A+ come up on the board here. Isaiah Simmons, an elite player in this draft, in my opinion, but in my opinion, it should be everybody's opinion. I've never seen a player like Isaiah Simmons. There never has been a player like Isaiah Simmons, a linebacker, in my opinion, that can do so much. You can't tell what he's better at because he's that good at every category. Stopping the run, sideline to sideline, getting after the quarterback, whether it's the edge, blitzing inside, in coverage, whether it's from linebacker, from slot corner. We see him at outside corner at some point. We see him at safety. He just does it all, and those types of players are the hardest for offenses to game plan against. As an A+, you get the third best player in the draft, an elite player at pick 8. Too good to pass. You got to respect the Cardinals. They could have taken some other players that were more of needs. No, they see this guy. They've never seen anything like it. Especially an offensive-minded coach out there, Kingsbury. He had to be pounding the table for even a guy like this. So that says it all there. So this is an A+ pick. I think they're going to use him, a bit at, pretty much everywhere, kind of like we expected. But I'm starting to think they could actually switch to the 4-3. I really believe that. Because Chandler Jones, just as good in the 3-4 and 4-3. That's why Chandler Jones so good. And he's familiar with the 4-3 as well. And then Devon Kennard, which I was kind of hoping Kennard would be better. I felt like Kennard would be better as a 3-4 outside linebacker, but he can play the 4-3 end spot. And then your 3 linebackers would be on the outside, would be Simmons. Then you have a choice to make with Campbell and Hicks. Both can play inside. I'm going to say Hicks plays inside, Campbell will play outside. Campbell, come up with the Falcons running with two linebackers there, so that would make the most sense to me. So I like Isaiah Simmons a lot. This is a great pick for the Cardinals. Too good to pass. Smart of them. Next, pick 9. C.J. Henderson gave it a C. Pick 9 is just too early for C.J. Henderson. The reason I don't give it a bad grade, C's in the middle. A is a great grade, B is a good grade, C's in the middle, D is a bad grade, F's terrible. It's in the middle because it's a pretty good spot for him to go. I think, or I guess the Jags are a pretty good team to bring in C.J. Henderson because they're somewhat in the rebuild mode here, and C.J. Henderson is the ultimate upside corner because he has the traits you cannot coach, but he needs to work on some other things. You look up, compare the other corners. He gave up more completions, quite a bit more completions than a number of the corners here towards the top are even still available, the yardage-wise as well. And, putting his head down too much, missing some tackles. So those things combined was enough for me to not be this high on him. I had a first-round grade on him. He was in the 20s on my board. So this is a little early. But, again, he has the upside there. It's just a little early for me to give it a good grade here. So it's going to be a C for me at number 9 pick to the Jags. 10 is going to be Jedrick Wills. Yes, it's borderline A+, for the Browns. My best tackle in the class. Some maybe didn't expect him to be here. Started to feel he could be here, so it's not like I'm jumping out of my seat. Wow. Wow, what a pick. There's also the little risk that, can we move him from right tackle to left tackle? Because Conklin's going to be at right tackle. I do not want Conklin at left tackle. So Wills, I'm confident I have an A up there still. So I like this pick. There was rumors about them trading back, but somebody too good to pass on here for them. So that worked out pretty well for the Browns. Pick 11, Mekhi Becton. I'm giving it a B+. I like Becton. I like the upside. The freakish, rare, size, athleticism, all that combined. You don't see that. Absolutely dominant in the run game right off the bat. Pass protection really improved from 2018 to 2019, so you love to see that. This is right around where I expect him to go. Nothing crazy. And I do think the Jets, it's fine for them to continue to build the offensive line. The reason why it's maybe not in the A range is because, this guy, you bring this guy in and you're going to be a dominant running team, but Gase is really not. He doesn't want to run the ball, really. It's kind of been proven over the years. So at the end of the day, their offensive line got better, though. So they do get a B+ there, and they get a solid prospect in Mekhi Becton. Pick 12 is going to be Henry Ruggs. The beauty of the receiver class, Ruggs was my number 3. Ruggs the third was my number 3 receiver in the class behind Lamb and Jeudy. Lamb and Jeudy still on the board. They pass up on those guys, and they take Ruggs. It's not a problem. It's not a problem. They felt he was a fit. That is fine with me. They get the speed, they get the excitement there from Henry Ruggs. So this offense got a little better here. So they still get a B+. It's overall the good pick there for the Raiders. Next up, we got pick 13. The Bucs traded up one spot. They took Tristan Wirfs. I don't like trading up one spot, but in this point, you really had to. If you sit there at 14 and Wirfs is somehow gone, there's really nobody for the Bucs to take. They just have to trade back, and who are they going to take then? So this was like a perfect situation for Wirfs and the Bucs there. They need that plug and play right tackle, so that works out well for them. Maybe it just gets bumped down from A to A- because you do trade up one spot. It always stings a little bit, but overall, big pickup for the Bucs there, and they're a stronger contender now than they were a day ago. Pick 14, Javon Kinlaw. Gave it the A-. I like Kinlaw, top 10 player. They actually traded back one spot, so that factors in as well. That seems like, John Lynch is a genius. Gain a pick, trading back one spot, you still get your guy. A-. The reason maybe the minus, it's tough to see them pass on CeeDee Lamb. There. That was like the perfect receiver for them. They get a lot better with that. It's kind of go, because they have a list of receivers that can play, young guys too, so it's kind of go very big or kind of go home in that way, perhaps. So maybe that bumps them down a little bit because it is tough. And I think the fans, that whenever I made a mock and them passing on CeeDee Lamb, they let me have it. So the fans really can't be upset because Kinlaw's a really good player. So, but that maybe another one of those where it kind of hurt a little bit. But A- still good grade. They got a good player. So DeForest Buckner gone. They bring in Kinlaw. They also trade back one spot, get the picks there, So that feels good for them. 15, Jerry Jeudy, the Broncos, A+ here. We had some feeling he could be here, but still for the Broncos, to get, I think, their perfect fit. Like I said, CeeDee Lamb, my number one receiver in the class. But if I'm the Broncos, my number one receiver in the class is Jerry Jeudy, because those receivers are that close to grade, and you're looking for the best fit here. Jerry Jeudy, the ability to play in a slot and play outside. So he can play outside opposite of Courtland Sutton. He can play in a slot right next to Courtland Sutton as well. That's a dominant duo right there. A big fan of that. So it's a big-time pick, and they got to be absolutely thrilled, though. So A+ for the Broncos. So another A+ given out. Love to see it. 16th pick, A.J. Terrell. The Falcons rumored they wanted to be able to trade up. They couldn't pull it off, and that's fine. That's absolutely fine. I don't love giving up a whole bunch of picks. Anyway, sitting at 16, you have to think Clavon Chaisson, best player available, exactly what they need, perfect fit opposite of Dante Fowler. And they don't really go that route. You can't punish them too much for not going that exact route. But it just felt like one of those spots where they went just purely off need. It's early for me for Terrell. I'm not a huge Terrell fan. He has the length, the athleticism. I definitely think there was better corners. I wouldn't have a problem with him. I kind of expected him to go earlier than I would love for him. Then I would be a fan of him going, and that was early 20s. So. I wish they would have traded back. Obviously, they probably had no offers, but doesn't change the fact that I wish they would have got him at a later spot to give it a better grade. That's what I mean by that. I just think it's a little early, so I gave it a C-. Just felt like they reached because of need. 17, Cowboys, another A+ here. Take CeeDee Lamb, number one receiver in the class. How is he here for the Cowboys at 17? Never thought this would happen. Absolutely wild. Love the pick. You've been saying they would need a receiver too. Early on in this process, I was mocking them receivers, and Cowboys fans ripping me for it. They don't need a receiver. They got Amari Cooper, Michael Gallup, but McCarthy's offense definitely needs a receiver. They led in drops. The Cowboys receivers led in drops last year. Amari Cooper comes out and he misses some time, obviously, as well. And a receiver, especially for that offense. Problem was, I didn't think, I stopped mocking them a receiver because I thought the really good ones would be off the board. CeeDee Lamb, number one, falls to their lap. Best player available. Good for Jerry, sticking true to the board there. Take the best player available. There's other teams that I feel like they make this board. When you make a board, you make a board of every single player. If you think a guy absolutely doesn't fit, even if you think he's a talented guy, okay, I can understand that. Take him off your board, sure. But you make a board of every single player. And there's teams that we went through already that did not take the highest graded player on their board. They went for need instead. And that's where the mistakes happen. But Jerry Jones didn't do that. He did it right, A+. The best single pick. The best pick, I'd say, in the draft on day one. So good job of the Cowboys. That's big time. And maybe another win. The Eagles fans really wanted to trade up and get CeeDee Lamb. I think the Eagles were kind of in on that, so they get the bragging rights there as well. So I guess that's big time there. 18, the first F of the grades here. Austin Jackson, USC tackle to the Dolphins. So the Dolphins get an A with their first pick. I was thinking Jackson could possibly go to the Dolphins at 26, and I was not liking that. Down at 26. Would have got a much better grade than F. It would not have got a good grade, though. And I know people weren't happy seeing that in mocks as well, him at 26. 18, it's just, once again, there are definitely better players on your board. You're desperate for a tackle. You take, even over Josh Jones, you take Austin Jackson. And overall, he had a solid year. You want for him to be 18th pick. You want to see more than that. And you also don't want to see, you look at the top four tackles, which he's just behind here pretty much. Tristan Wirfs got taken before. Those guys, it is hard to find a single bad moment. And that's what separates the good from the bad for tackles. And really, tackles, if you see one really bad moment, that's just one of those positions where, it's you really take a fall there, and those four didn't have that, and Jackson had it. It's quite the difference comparing. You had a second-round grade, not even a high second-round grade on Jackson. It's just a reach off a need, and I wouldn't have liked to pick at 26 either, but it would not have been an F. At 18, it's just a pure we need this. Let's just take whatever best tackle we got here. So that's unfortunate there after a good first pick. 19, Damon Arnette, C+. Surprising pick. But Damon Arnett's been growing on me. The top 9 corners all pretty close in grade, so it's really not surprising that Arnett goes. A little surprising he goes over a couple of the guys still left, but I don't mind it. I don't love it because it's still in that C range. I like Arnett. I think he's a kind of like a safer corner. I think he's a balanced corner. Not going to be super flashy, but not going to really hurt the team in any way. So, as expected, Raiders get a receiver and a corner here. Maybe just a little early on Damon Arnett here, who I thought could be a borderline first-round pick there for talent reasons. And pick 20, Clavon Chaisson. So the Jags get a C with their first pick because it's a little bit of a reach in my opinion based on my board, but kind of understandable at the same time. Clavon Chaisson growing on me. This pick's really grown. I mean, I'm a big fan of him. Top 15 on my board. Just the idea of him and Josh Allen, the idea of that too. He should not be here at 20. The Falcons really should have taken him there. Some other teams could have taken him. He should not be here at 20. Teams reaching creates this. That's what happens. Every draft, teams reaching creates this. So Ngakoue, you can wave goodbye to Ngakoue. The fans don't care no more. The team don't care no more. Chaisson, Josh Allen. They added Joe Schobert in free agency too. So the defense coming together. I do need actual defensive linemen though, but as an A-plus pick, I like Chaisson and the Jaguars. Next, we got Jalen Reagor. I like Jalen Reagor. One of my guys in the draft. Kind of got a feeling this guy's going to be big time. Yeah, I guess that's why it stays in the B range. But even though I really like Jalen Reagor, was higher on him than most, I had a guy like Justin Jefferson, Denzel Mims ahead of Reagor still. So it was a little surprising. Mims wasn't that surprising because I think they wanted more, even though Mims is pretty speedy. At the same time, they wanted more of the speed. But yeah, passing on Justin Jefferson was kind of surprising. I'm not saying it's bad they did it at all, because I do like Reagor. That's the great thing about the receiver class. You take one, it's really not that, it's not a huge difference. So I still give it the B. Just still surprised that they passed on Jefferson a little bit. But I do like Reagor will be good for the Eagles. He will be good. So, and then the Vikings get Justin Jefferson at 22. This guy was not supposed to be here. You hear that the Vikings, they came up with several mocks, in their own war, with their own people before, and they did not have Jefferson once to them. So that's pretty wild there. They get the Diggs replacement here at 22. He's going to fit perfectly for them as well. So just wasn't supposed to be here. An excellent value pick. They get their receiver at A+. I was starting to worry that they weren't going to take a receiver in the first and kind of devalue the position. But when a guy this good is there, you just cannot pass. So that's an A+ pick, one of the better single picks of the day for the Vikings there with the A+. And then we go to 23. Kenneth Murray, back and forth on this one. They trade up. They give up a pick. Never a fan of giving up picks, but it's got to be for the right player. I do like Kenneth Murray, but trying to think what they do with him here. Starting to think they put him at inside. They could put him at outside. He does a good job getting after the quarterback. So you almost feel in their defense, play him on the outside a little bit. But I think he'll play inside. So surprised this wasn't a tackle, but Murray is higher on the board than the tackles. So they stayed true to their board. So yeah, this is kind of back and forth. Like where's he gonna fit at? Traded up for him. It's just kind of back and forth. I do like him in Gus Bradley's defense, so I did give it a B+. A guy that you wish the coverage game was a little better. So that's where need to get better for the Chargers here. But the run stopping and then getting pressure on the quarterback, which I hope they use him in that way at least at times. So we'll see there. B+. 24th pick. Another B+. Saints take Cesar Ruiz, which was a shocker. Was really a shocker. I think they wanted Kenneth Murray. They were going to take Kenneth Murray, I believe, but they really didn't have control of that, so you don't get docked anything for that. But kind of growing on me here. These teams that are consistently good are pretty smart with making sure the offensive line's in place. And this could be the Warford replacement very soon. Very, very soon, or maybe they can wait a little bit. That's kind of the tough part. They're trying to win a Super Bowl now, though, and is it a big impact right now? I guess we're going to see if he even plays or not this year. So I think worth the pick, though. So put it at a B+. I think it's a team that you look at a team that's trying to win a Super Bowl now. Maybe that's the downside, but a team that has very little holes and loves to make sure the offensive line, a very important piece, is kind of retooled at the right time. That's kind of the upside there. So, one I'm kind of back and forth on. Gave it a B+ here. 25, the Niners take Brandon Ayuk. They traded up to this pick. This is a weird one because you expected the Niners to trade down. They trade down with the other pick. They needed more picks, and they gave up 2 fourth-round picks for this one. That's what's going to drop it to a B-. I like Ayuk. I like Ayuk for the Niners. If they picked him at their original pick at 31, I'd probably give it a. It depends on who's on the board, in that scenario. It's an A- range, but it really drops it off coming up to 25 to take them. And on top of that, trading away 2 fourth-round picks, I thought that was much, and they needed those picks, so that kind of drops it down. But I do like Ayuk, and that's why it stays for them, especially. That's why it stays in the B range. But yeah, trading those picks stings a little bit. 26, Packers trade up for Jordan Love, a one that I am so back and forth on the grade, and I actually gave it a B minus. A lot of people were ripping the Packers, so it might be a little surprising I gave it a B minus, but let's talk about the bad. Let's talk about the really bad is the trade up. You traded up 8 spots over the team that was probably going to take the quarterback next, the Colts. Did you fear that the Colts were going to trade up to the spot? Did the Dolphins make you believe that? The Colts, it's been proven the Colts were not trying to trade up. To me, it was obvious they weren't because they would have already done it. They would have got up in the early 20s to do it. They would have made sure they would have done it. Packers had to have them here, though. So trading up is the bad. Another bad is the Packers just went to the NFC Championship game. They want to kind of like the Saints. The bad part about the Saints they're trying to win now, and this does not help them win now. So that kind of drops it down. That's looking like a bad grade at this point. But then let's look at the good here. Jordan Love is definitely worth the 26th pick. Jordan Love is the third best quarterback in this class, in my opinion. They get him at the 26th pick, the fourth quarterback taken. Jordan Love, to me, needs to sit for a year or two behind a pretty good quarterback to learn behind. Aaron Rodgers happens to be that guy. That works out. There's some really good things there as well. So I'm just back and forth on this grade. I kept it in the B range because I like Jordan Love behind Aaron Rodgers. They could possibly be set after Rodgers is gone, and kind of thinking this could mean I've heard from people that I kind of trust that Rodgers would be gone after a year or two, and I was like, no, I do not believe in that. But I don't think it's a year, but I'm starting to believe it now. 2-3 years here, starting to believe it. So that part maybe stings for the Packers fans a little bit, but this is kind of the good. This is kind of the good. You got this guy. You have the chance to get this guy. So there's good here. I still, and why I had to put the minus there, and I actually had a C up on the board when I originally was making the graphics, because the trade up, giving away and looking at it, they only gave up 1 pick. They actually gave up less than the value, so that kind of bumps it up again too. So back and forth, as you can tell. But how I always grade, you stick to the system here. Value of the pick. Trading up does factor in, bumps down a little bit, but overall, I kind of like it. It's not the best when they're trying to win this year, but I like Love on the Packers, but don't love it for the Packers' chances this year. If that's my views there. But I have bumped the grade up since the original thought in my brain. I guess there was no original real grade, but definitely a surprise there. Definitely a surpriser. What makes the draft interesting? 27. The Seahawks, deja vu. They did it again. Not only did they make a surprising pick, but for me, it's like the same. It's deja vu. Same thing as last year. They take L.J. Collier. I like L.J. Collier, but I like him as a 3-4 end. Seahawks just took him. They play a 4-3. I was confused by the pick. I was probably saying the same exact things last year for that great video for what I'm about to say for Jordan Brooks. I like Collier. I didn't think he fit. They tried to play him at 4-3 end. He didn't fit. Didn't work out. So that kind of decided that. Wondering if they switched to a 3-4 last year. Here we go. They didn't switch to a 3-4. Now we're in the draft. They take Jordan Brooks, who I like Jordan Brooks. He's a dominant run defender right off the bat. Could work on some other things, though, after that. And he's an inside linebacker, in my opinion, in either scheme. They have Bobby Wagner, best middle linebacker in football. Are they switching to a 3-4 to play inside as well? We've seen Brooks kind of move around because he had to take control of the whole Texas Tech defense. But he is a middle linebacker. This guy's a middle linebacker. If they stick with the 4-3, and this grade, it's almost impossible to have an incomplete grade on a value of the pick grading system. But it's right there because if they stay to a 4-3 and he plays outside, this is worse than a C+. I don't like it. It's much worse than a C+. If they switch to a 3-4 and you got Bobby Wagner and Jordan Brooks in there, it's much better than a C+. I love Jordan Brooks. He's an inside linebacker. There's people that think he can play outside. To me, he's an inside linebacker. I think he can. Yeah, maybe he's an upgrade over at outside linebacker still. I don't see him playing extremely well there. So Seahawks once again, shocker, absolute shocker. C+ for them on that one. It's a rare, only the Seahawks. It's a Seahawks grade. It's a rare one and only incomplete value of the pick grade, which shouldn't exist, but the Seahawks make it exist. Then we got the Ravens taking Patrick Queen, a guy that started to fall for me a little bit because kind of going back to the other tape before the national championship game, and it's just not the same. National championship game looks like a top 10 player. The games before it looked like second round, but the upside is definitely there. A running back coming in LSU, 2 years playing linebacker, so definitely got the upside. As fills a big need, so the Ravens get better here. It's not one that I'm just jumping up and down. Wow, love the pick. So we're gonna put it at the B+ range here for the Ravens. I heard they were on Jordan Brooks. Wonder if they would have taken him. Curious on that. I'm gonna say no. I think they still would have taken Queen. Actually, I think they would have taken Queen because I don't know if they take their next best linebackers the pick later. They got to be somebody better on their board. So I think they would have taken Queen. 29, Isaiah Wilson, the Titans. A little surprising here. Yeah, I think he fits, a real good run blocker. They may have gotten better at right tackle. Dennis Kelly could still start, so this guy might not even start right away. Or he could, and then Dennis Kelly's kind of getting paid to sit on the bench here. The fit's kind of keeping it up from a C, and yeah, maybe they did get better over Dennis Kelly. So maybe they got better over Conklin. I wasn't a huge Conklin fan, especially pass protection. So, it's kind of maybe though. It's kind of a maybe there. So. A little early for me, surprising. I keep in that C range. It's another one of those I'm kind of back and forth on, a little iffy on. We're looking at 30 now. The Dolphins start off hot, taking A from Dua, getting Tua, and then Austin Jackson gets him an F, a big-time reach. And another, this one might have been the more confusing picks on the day. After the Seahawks, of course. Unless the Seahawks are switching, that makes it not confusing. This might be the most confusing pick on the day. Austin Jackson was a reach. Little surprising. This one might be more confusing, and they needed a tackle, so that's why they reached for. Yeah, in this, Noah Igbinoghene, I had a second-round grade on. Really another guy I've been following to my board, watching more and more because a lot of sloppy plays, going to get a lot of pass interference calls, a lot of holding. He's just too focused on the receiver. Ends up receiver chasing, does not make a play on the ball. But in the Dolphins, you were surprised they take a corner, but the plan absolutely has to be here to play him at slot corner. So I think he could be better at slot corner because maybe he's not good covering downfield, like I was mentioning. And he's got to be a slot corner because they have Howard and Byron Jones, so that makes sense. It's just still too early, and you look at the slot corner. I mean, an overall better cornerback grade in Jeff Gladney, who also played some slot corner at a pretty high level. You look at an actual slot corner in Kevon Walsh. Look at Antoine Winfield. People believe he'll play that at a high level. I agree. So I think there was better options at that exact position. So it's not like they had to, take the best slot corner. So it's a little confusing of a pick. Pretty confusing of a pick there. So it's a reach, confusing. So we're gonna give him a D here. For the Dolphins, they start good and then really fall apart there down. But they did trade. Okay, so the reason this isn't worse than a D is because they traded back to this pick and gained a pick. But if you look at what I saw this morning, you look at the trade details, they got under the value of what they really should have got for this pick. So that was interesting. I don't take a hit for too much for that. 31, the Vikings, they get an A. What really factors in this one, they traded down 6 spots and they gained 2 fourth-rounders, which was surprising. We see the Dolphins drop back like the same thing and they get a fourth-rounder in the middle of the 2 fourth-rounders the Vikings got. So huge difference there. So the Vikings get 2 fourth-round picks. Jeff Gladney, who's a first-round corner, a good fit. I would have been happy with Gladney with the Vikings at 25. They trade back to 31 and get him. So it was a good day for the Vikings. So they get an A. And this is borderline A+ too, but this is kind of for the value. This is kind of his range. But the reason to be borderline, the trade-up really makes this look pretty good. So they can use that. They got a whole bunch of picks. Use that ammo to get better players earlier if they need to. It's a really good day for the Vikings there. So they get Gladney, who going to be interesting to see do they play because Gladney's just as good in the slot outside. I believe it could be. I think Hughes probably playing the slot. Gladney and Holton Hill on the outside. We're going to see. Interesting stuff. And then I gave the Chiefs an A. A huge Clyde Edwards-Helaire fan. I think it's a perfect fit. I think he'll be very good there. Running back 1 for me all since day 1 of this, since the offseason happened, and stuck by it here. The most complete back in the class. Best one for the Chiefs. People try to tell me Jonathan Taylor's going to go first round. I tell them no. And I mean, he would have been a good fit too. But I mean, this is just the pure best all-around running back, the best pass-catching back, perfect for. I just love the fit so much that I gave it an A. I kind of thought he could be early second. Thought he could be the first running back taken, but I thought it'd be early second. We're here at pick 32. Absolutely love the fit. We're gonna give the Chiefs an A here. So those are my grades. Let me know your guys' grades down below. Let me know your thoughts. Got more videos on the way before day 2 even starts, and then more videos after day 2, of course, throughout the draft, and then after the draft, a whole bunch of great videos and everything. So I can't wait for all that. Can't wait for the rest. This is my favorite parts of the draft. The next few days. Round 1's great. You get some great players. This is the prime spot. Prime spot right here of the draft. Love it. Follow that Twitter. Everything about every pick, tweeting all my thoughts. It's an absolute must follow. Make a Twitter if you don't have one. There's a link down below for that. Go follow it. Really appreciate it. That's going to do it, though. Thanks, everyone, for being here. If you joined the stream last night, appreciate you very much. Make sure you go check out that Twitter. Please like, subscribe. Stay tuned for more. Thanks for watching. Goodbye.